When my son Jack was diagnosed with autism in 1996, our family was devastated. Part of the reason for that was the fact that there was virtually no information anywhere that we could latch onto to give us hope and guidance for Jack's future. That was really the reason that I produced Come Back Jack, was to give people, myself included, a perspective on what this difference, this difficulty actually means. Now, 12 years later, I'm thrilled to be involved in a book project where we really have, I think, taken the Come Back Jack idea to the next level. And that is focusing on this difference, as I like to call it, and ways to embrace it. That's the title of the book, Embracing Autism, Connecting and Communicating with Children in the Autism Spectrum. As the editor, I've been fortunate enough to assemble, I think, a really talented group of writers to share their stories. Some of them are really personal about what it's like to live with and work with these children and adults with this diagnosis. Our goal is to give teachers, parents, and other professionals a perspective on autism that isn't really out there at this point, and one that hopefully will help these children reach their full potential as they go through their lives.
The world's a better place when people can learn about these things, and people need labels. They tend to need a name for these things, and so a label can be very useful that way. But you know, my son's a person, and he has things to contribute, and people need to be understanding of him, and he needs to be understanding of them.
Many children with autism, for example, literally do not know what they are seeing. They cannot spot an object that's 20, 30 feet away from their bodies. The object does not have meaning. For many of the children, the objects only have meaning when they're directly, physically involved with it. So a cup has meaning as they hold the cup or as they drink from it. But if you put the cup upside down, it might lose all its significance. Many of these kids have the need, for example, when they go into new space, to define that space for themselves by running back and forth, and in that way establishing for themselves the reality of the space that they're in. Only gradually, as they start to develop, does space become defined for them in a way that allows them to leave a familiar place and come back to it again.
You see high-functioning autism and Asperger's syndrome. What's the difference between the two? I always get puzzled looks. I contribute by providing a window onto this side of the autism spectrum, helping people understand what autism is and how to interact with and teach children with autism. And I also like to give hope to parents who have often just been blindsided by a diagnosis of autism, and help them realize that autism is really more of a difference to be worked with, as opposed to this monolithic enemy that needs to be slain and destroyed.
All teachers should be special ed teachers, because we all should have the knowledge of teaching to the style of the child in all situations. It doesn't matter whether you're in a quote-unquote regular ed environment or a special ed. The joy is in just seeing a child reach their highest potential, and a family, changes in families where there's less stress. They feel comfortable sending their child to school. There's less worries that they have to have. And just to know that you're part of that process and that you do really make a difference is huge. And I can't really think of anything else to do.
We're here to talk about the not so desperate, terrible, depressing side of autism spectrum difficulties. How does that sound? Do you feel like you're having any difficulties right now? Wow! See? He's got no difficulties. There's no difficulties, right? Do you have a spectrum thing going on? Autism spectrum. You heard of that before? What are you messing with my shift knob for? Hey Jack, here's a question for you. Who am I? Who am I?
Oh my. Who am I? What's my name?
Dad.
Exactly.